coffee nerds. I'm Brodie, and today I want to dig into something that I believe to be one of the most elusive terms in coffee, and that is the coffee C price. I'm sure that this system was designed decades ago with all the best intentions, but I want to discuss a bit what it actually means and also what we can do about it. Because without talking about solutions, we're sort of just complaining and it's extremely hard to take action. So the C in C price actually stands for commodity and is the idea that coffee is traded as a commodity on the stock market every single day. And this has particular implications. So if you're like me and you don't understand much about the stock market, let's stick to what happens in the commodity market. There are essentially two types of commodities being traded: hard commodities that can be mined or extracted like gold and oil, and soft commodities like agriculture and livestock, sugar, beef, coffee, and we're just talking about green coffee here. So this is before roasting, the raw material, right off the farm. So like most global resources and economic models, prices change with supply and demand. So we've got our graph here, and let's let orange be coffee. So in coffee's case, with more origins producing coffee, the supply goes up, things are going well, but therefore, and this is the blue, this is the C price, goes down because more supply. But that's where the other model comes in. With less coffee in the world, drought or bad crops, bad season, climate change, the coffee production supply goes down and the price goes up. And I mean a higher C price. So this is the, again, commodity market price of coffee. In most industries, this wouldn't seem like such a big deal. I mean, it's just economics. Now, I'm sort of making this out to be fairly straightforward, but the reality is it's not. A lot of the fluctuations in supply and demand actually have to do with speculation, traders purchasing future stocks, and short-term projections. But like I told you, I'm not very stock market savvy, so I'm not going to get into that in this video, but there are a lot of great coffee resources out there on publications like Perfect Daily Grind, Sprudge, Daily Coffee News, etc. So I'm just going to leave you a few links down in the description so you can do some more research. So the real problem is that this coffee market price, the C price, is actually very, very low. In fact, it's most often lower than the cost of production itself, and the changes in supply and demand can sometimes even put producers into more debt than they were already in. But right now, I want to show you something that blows me away more than any of this. So right here on the screen, this figure shows you the fluctuations that the C price has gone through over the years since 1969. The y-axis being price per pound of green bean in US dollars, and the x-axis being time. Now look at the 1970s on the left, almost up to $3.50 per pound. Now we're in 2020, 50 years later, and coffee is at less than $1 per pound. I think around 96, 97 cents the day that I'm making this. But the thing that baffles me the most is that this graph and those prices are not even adjusted for inflation. Of course, there are other lows like in 2001 and highs like in 2010, but the point is that though the global price may fluctuate, the cost of producing coffee does not, or at least not in any way that vaguely correlates to this price. So as you can see, it is a very complex issue with many, many variables, and the solution is definitely not very clear. But I honestly believe that one of the biggest ways that we can make a difference is through true transparency in the coffee supply chain, as well as real traceability to each cup of coffee that we drink. And that's where iThink comes in. iThink is an app that allows you to see every step of the supply chain all the way back to the farm gate price that was paid to the producer. And I've partnered with them as a sponsor of this video to give you a quick breakdown of how it works. So every iThink verified coffee bag comes with a unique QR code. And by scanning it, you'll be brought to the link with all the details. As you can see here, it's all traceable back to the exact price that was paid to the farmers. They use blockchain technology to lock in these specific details in every step of the supply chain. It went through the mill, the exporter, the importer, roaster, and finally, the coffee shop. In this case, I'm holding a Colombian coffee that was roasted in New Jersey and sold by a coffee shop called Brodie Cafe. And you know what? It's really good. Good old Colombian coffee. So that brings us back to the C price. By understanding where our coffee money is going and how much of it, we as consumers can start to make purchasing decisions that navigate the C pricing structure and truly start to empower producers. This transparency also holds members of the supply chain accountable, including ourselves. Hundreds of thousands of coffee producers around the world depend on coffee for their livelihood. And fortunately, there are tons of coffee green buyers and roasters who are doing their part to ensure that these producers are getting paid for all the work that they're doing. So if you want to learn more about iFinca, as well as download the app, I've left the link down in the description. The list of countries and different origins that they're working with is growing constantly, and I think this is a great way to tell the stories of the people behind the coffee that we all drink. But ultimately, if we come away from this conversation with anything, and I know that it's very deep and complex, and I myself have had to get my head around this whole C pricing structure and really dig into it. But honestly, the key is dialogue. Ask more questions. Ask your roaster, ask your local coffee shop, make more informed purchasing decisions. Ask where your coffee's coming from. The more details, the better. And with that, I'll leave you with one last question. The coffee that you're drinking today, where is it from? Who grew it? Who roasted it? I would love to hear all about it in the comments. I will see you there. Cheers.